Hey there, welcome back to my channel. Um, it's been a few days since the last one, and today I wanted to discuss um, etymology, which is essentially the study of like the origins of words or something like that. I don't know if that's the official definition, but and specifically the word or the term human being. And this is going to be more my intuitive interpretation with some whatever uh, pieces of knowledge I know, but I'm curious to see where this interpretation leads us. Because the term human being is really two different words, right? It's human and being. And I believe that by investigating the meaning of this term, of what we call ourselves, we can kind of get some insights into this dualistic nature of what it means to be a human being. And again, this channel is about exploring what our purpose as human beings is. So let's start with human. There's a few different ways that we could break this down, but really, I think we could break human down into another two, hue and man. So, hue is a derivative of, there are two connections here. And again, this is not an academic, analysis. I'm not claiming to be well researched here, but take these ideas for what they are and see what connections they draw in your own mind. But there are two main roots of hue, HU. One would be color, light, different hues, right? The hues of different colors and light. It would be a reference to light. So that's one. I think the more common one would be similar to terms like humor, hummus, right? Like that. Well, it's a food, but it's also goes back to, I want to say it's probably Latin, I think, meaning the earth. Like that's why humility also comes from that. You're down to earth, you're grounded. So those are kind of seemingly opposite interpretations, right? Hue, light, this ephemeral, non-physical element, if you want to call it that, and then hummus, right? Earth, groundedness, physicality, form. So it could be both of those things, which is interesting because when you think about we are, as we're spiritual beings in physical form. So this interpretation of hue, the hue part of human, kind of encapsulates both of those. Now, man, there's a old Germanic term that meant person that comes from man. Also, it was like man, MON, MAN. Now, mono is like singular, so it's like one. Also, there's a Hindu term, Atman, which is maybe one of the oldest known usages of the term man. And that refers to the eternal individual self. So however you look at man, it comes down to like this meaning of like this one essence. So human is this light combined with earth and one essence, one separate eternal essence, but made of light, but in earthly form, human. So that seems like an accurate description to me. And again, this is like an intuitive, in the moment reflection here. So, human being is the full term. Now, being, I'm not going to go into the etymology of the term being, because well, it's one of those terms that's so simple that we think we know what it means, but it's most simple things can be harder to explain because they're self-explanatory. But really what being or beingness is, right, is presence, just existence, existing, being, isness, right? There's no other term for it. But compared to human, right, like being this oneness, being like mono, man, singular, and hue, as far as light, I think of like the color spectrum, like hue is like color, really, more even than light. And color, opposed to light, has a uniqueness to it, right? It's not just like this one thing, it's this unique expression of light is what a hue is. So, and then of course we're like in this physical form, right, which is defined, which makes us unique as well. So beingness is not unique, right? Like the beingness in me is the same as the beingness in you, which is the same as the beingness in a tree or a squirrel or whatever. So human being, this is where we get into the duality. Like the human part, do we be or do we be? I don't know. This is a difficult phrase. Like, should we really lean into the beingness part of our nature, or lean into the human part of our nature? Perhaps is a question to explore for yourself, and what that means to you. To me, that kind of question or self-inquiry really revolves around this notion of uniqueness in selfhood and what that is and what the role of it is. Like, there are a lot of traditions, especially in the Buddhist direction, should we say, that really focus on beingness, and the human stuff is like, yeah, that's nice, but it's an illusion. Let go of your individuality. Let go of your unique hue, your unique color and expression. And yeah, the Hue-Man, like this hummus, this earth, this form, this body is also an illusion. In this idea that you are a mono, singular man, that's also an illusion. You're not separate. Just be. Full stop. So that's one extreme. Now you can go in the other direction and really ignore your beingness. Which beingness is the foundation of the connection that us as individuals have with all other individuals and with all of life and with all of creation. Because at the core, our beingness is just self-evident and is the source generating all experience. But in of itself, it's not separate. There's no separation in beingness. So it's beyond selfhood. Beingness is beyond selfhood, where humanness is the definition, is how we experience selfhood. So this line of self-inquiry here is to determine, how do we live in the world? How do we strike this balance between these eternal beings that we are and that we all are together? We're essentially all just one being. We are all part of the ocean. We are the ocean. right? To use that metaphor, which I feel like I use the wave ocean metaphor in every single video, maybe. It's the best metaphor. But so, yeah. And then what is the right amount of ego? What is the right amount of, like, we are beingness for whatever, however it operates. Like, not to say that it has reasons, it just is. But beingness has landed in human form here. Like, I'm a human, you're a human. So is that a mistake? Should we just, like, is the whole point of being a human to realize that we're actually just beingness and the whole human thing was just a farce? That doesn't resonate with me personally. So I admit you can go too far into the individuality side of things, where you just become self-consumed and think you're this separate, special, isolated entity that is all focused on the self and has no connection to any other life or any other beings, because you're not connected with the beingness in yourself, which is, right, how you connect with all the other beings. So I suppose what I am landing on here is a middle path, right in between human and being, and the merging of the two. And what that looks like is, again, I've talked about individuation, a term that Carl Jung is known for, which really advocates embracing the uniqueness of who you are as a human, as a limited, individual, unique being who is in physical form, who is a unique color that nobody else is on the rainbow of life. You know, it's your hue, your unique flair, whatever your unique strengths and weaknesses and disposition. All of that is just you. Every snowflake is all made of snow, but each one is unlike any other that ever will be or ever was. And that's you. And that's important to fully express that and fully come to know that uniqueness in yourself as a human, as an individual. And in the reason that that's so important, individuation, really coming to your full expression as a unique individual, is because the nature of this matrix, this dualistic experience that we're having, where we simultaneously are experiencing ourselves as these separate entities, while also all being connected by this one generating source of beingness, but not fully realizing that for most of the time. The way that these two elements, beingness and individuality, humanness, merge together is that through the full expression of our uniqueness, which needs perceived separation to occur, through the full expression of that, you actually harmonize with the collective most effectively and most completely. The more you actually fulfill your unique individual role, your unique hue, your unique expression, the more you actually merge into the sea of beingness with all other life. And it seems like that's a contradiction. It's like, wait a minute, how does leaning more and more into separation or perceived separation and uniqueness and individuality actually lead me into unison with collective being? Well, this is the nature of duality. And I would say try it. Right? Like what is purpose? Like, whoa, we need to, sometimes people who, myself included, can get into this trap of like, oh, I need to find my purpose and get really focused on myself and my problems and my goals, and I need to find my purpose and then I'll be fulfilled. And what that means is just like find your role in I don't in the overall how should I say this? I could say, like, you could use a metaphor as like a company. You work for a company, and every person has their own role, and they're all unique. Like, you use your skill set to do one thing, somebody else has their skill set to do their thing. Everybody works together, the whole company works smoothly, right? Where if everybody's trying to do the same thing, then all these other roles aren't getting fulfilled. Everything's a mess, right? Or if people aren't really truly fulfilling or maximizing the skills that they're meant to be fulfilling in their role to the best of their ability, there's going to be lapses in how the whole company works. So if everybody's fulfilling their natural role that they're gifted with, then the entire collective runs smoothly. And in doing so and fulfilling that role, each employee of this, metaphor of a company here, they are supported by the whole. There's an interdependent, support between the collective of the company that you're part of, and there's respect between the different people with their different gifts and abilities who are offering, things to each other. And in doing so, you become one with that company. You are the company, right? So maybe not the best metaphor, but I think these things are very difficult to discuss. Like, beingness is impossible to discuss. It's beyond division and separation. But so maybe some more like Buddhists would be like, actually, no, forget about that. You don't have to do the individuation. Just realize that your separate sense of self is impermanent, and all of your suffering is essentially an illusion because you're just attached to these elements that you're perceiving of your experience that are not actually attached to your core true self. Now, the thing is, that process, I'm not going to say like you can't meditate yourself into enlightenment, but to say that the experience of life as a unique individual human is really just, I think I use the term a farce, or just a purposeless illusion, I push back against that. I think it has a purpose. I think there is wisdom inherent in the beingness that encompasses all of existence, that has allowed or even intended in some way for our experience as individual humans and as separate individuals. This experience has come into manifestation for a purpose. And there, I could theorize. I do have theories. There are whole religions that have theories as far as what that purpose is. But the main thing is that maybe that's somewhat where faith comes in. Because if you reject that, then what are you going to do here? You're just going to like sit, go to a monastery and meditate. I mean, even that's an experience. Like, go be a monk. Maybe that, like, I'm not. I think some people, that is their path. But even to come to that decision, even to get to arrive at that place, you need to individuate. You need to figure out, oh, that's my purpose is to let go of all my individualness, right? And again, astrology specifically, is a central theme of this channel, is the best system that I've ever become aware of to help you kind of mentally and also intuitively dive into your own individuation process and realize what your unique role and what your unique expression is. It's like a divine blueprint that has come into reality out of beingness and made you a unique human. And it's a literal blueprint of symbols that you can interpret and reflect upon to give you guidance to more efficiently find your role and your full expression. And maybe even like support, like give you affirmation to your intuitive knowingness of yourself that you might already have to varying degrees. It can confirm that and also shed light on the areas that are blind spots as far as discovering aspects of your true nature that are hidden, as you know is so often the case in the human experience. The subconscious certainly tends to rule the conscious aspects of our life in many ways, until we are able to get a hold of it through our own awareness and accessing our own beingness. Beingness and awareness are two peas in a pod for sure. Losing my voice a little bit. So anyway, I think this is a natural wrap-up point. This is where we got from thinking about the term human being. And I find it, there's somebody I know who was just, I've heard them recently kind of oscillate between these two concepts, not specifically talking about the word human being, but like, oh, part of me just wants to be in presence and not think about time and life responsibilities. And then they'll go, and then all of a sudden they'll go on like this. This is also actually parts of me, but it's easier to see in this other individual. Then they'll be like really ambitious and have these goals. And like, I want to do this, this, and this. And I'm really moving forward, taking action. And then they'll be like, actually, I don't want to do anything. I just want to be. And I've noticed this like back and forth, which also reflects my own patterns that I've seen this in myself. And then I was thinking, well, what does it mean to be a human being? Well, there are these two elements here that need to be balanced: beingness and our own individuation process of being a human. So I think the middle path is the most efficacious route here to being a human being. And we can learn that from studying the very word itself, the very term. So hopefully some of this was interesting. I'll keep up these videos as I feel inspired to do so. And yeah, many blessings. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.